What's your week been like, and the guys all finished with finals at this point, and how's everything going?
Well, it is finals week. Most of our guys are right in the middle of the finals week. The tests will happen tomorrow, Thursday, and all the way through Friday. We have a few guys that are pretty much finished up today, but I'd say for the most part, all of our guys have more to do. And it's a very stressful time for any student in college, finals week, and for our players, it's no different. Being student athletes, juggling the demands of practice in addition to preparation for finals, taking the test, all that takes out of you. It's a challenging week, and I think we go and try to do the best that we can to kind of help support them, make sure that we're really in great communication with how they're feeling, obviously checking on their academics, but so far so good. Our guys have taken care of things, and we had a hard practice yesterday, a good practice, and know that we have a big challenge here on Saturday night when we play Baylor.
So did you just take Monday off, or are you going to take another day off?
No, we only took Monday off, and I think tomorrow's practice time might be different just because we're accommodating one or two guys have tests at the time of practice.
How does it work when you have an open week like this? Does it help in the sense that guys can blow off steam maybe on the court, or is it distraction sometimes with them to get them focused on basketball?
No, it's a very difficult week. Time management. Just you want guys to make sure they get their rest and take care of themselves because they have the stress of that exam and the final grade looming. 15 weeks are behind them, and this is it. So, the stress of finals week and the things that go with that is enough. And I think you add on what we give them. We just have to make sure that each of our guys in their own right are sure of themselves and are taking care of things and have the time needed to be successful away from the court. In terms of on the court, that's going to take care of itself. And every day that goes by, the guys are closer to the end, and that's also an incredible feeling when it's all over. So I think when we get to Friday, just about everybody will be done, and then we can focus on the remainder of our non-conference schedule.
When you look back at that game against Alabama down the stretch, what was something that caught your attention about how you guys finished the game?
Well, no matter how hard we try, if you have a team that has great team chemistry, there's always going to be a pocket, maybe several pockets throughout the long course of a season where even though you have great team chemistry, it's challenged at some point. I mean, we have 13 different players, all with different roles, coming from various backgrounds. The highs and lows of everything takes its toll. Same thing, I think, if you have a team that plays with great effort and energy, it's very difficult for that to be the case for every single game. You hope, you wish, but it's in our best attempt. It's just it's very difficult. Shooting offense is the same. If you have a team that really shares the ball and executes, and just like, for example, a great free throw shooting team, or a team that just seems to really execute well, you're going to have those games, or a game where that stands out where you didn't have it. What I would say is, credit Alabama. They had a home game against us, and coming off of a tough loss themselves, they were ready, and they did a great job. But by far, out of the 10 games that we've played, that was our worst performance, if we just grade ourselves. We didn't have the wherewithal, the will, the energy, the discipline sometimes to be good enough on defense. Our transition defense, which has been for early in the year constant for us, it really left us for most of the game. And play against a team like Alabama that has multiple guys that can do things in transition, you kind of feed into what they're good at. And that's what we did. The big burst in the first half where they opened the game up, I think, as much as 19 points, that stemmed from a lot of baskets that they got before our defense was set up. At the end of the game, our defensive rebounding left us when we really needed to get a stop, when we really needed to just get one or two key defensive rebounds. You know, it's hard enough to make the team miss and not foul. And when you don't foul and you get them to miss a shot and you can't get that rebound, it breaks your back. And that's really what happened. I think we had a flurry of 5 out of 7 possessions in the last 5 minutes where they missed a shot against our defense and they got a second shot. And that led to fouls, that led to and ones, that led to a 3-point basket. So that's also happened to our team in Maui, where, you know, the game broke open against Gonzaga, and the reason the game, you know, got into double digits was they did the same thing. So we've watched it, we've talked about it. Sometimes the best reminder is a loss because you didn't get away with it. It did you in. So there's a lot of great lessons to be learned from our Alabama game. You know, unfortunately, we took a loss in a game which either team could have won.
So when you have this, based on what you're saying and what you saw in review, and you have an extra couple of days to work on your own stuff, I mean, are you tweaking it a little bit to do a little more transition defense or like you said, rebounding work or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the emphasis, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, no, our emphasis moving forward is, especially against Baylor, is to be a team that blocks out, that has guys giving unreal effort on the glass, where it's not just our big guys, it's it's all 5. You know, our guards have just as much responsibility, and, you know, getting players to come in the game who don't start to really do that well. I think Ira Lee, who's, you know, hasn't played his best recently, but is clearly a much better player than he's played recently. We're trying to get him back, and you know, that's something Ira does really well, and he could give us that additional rebounding on both ends. And so we've talked to him. This is a week where I think he can get both feet on the ground and play more minutes and get him solidified in a role that can help our team, because he's somebody that is part of the solution to our rebounding. And when we get out rebounded, it's harder for us to win. And when we rebound, you know, with equal or more, the chances of us winning really increase. And Alabama game's a great example. You know, the difference of 3 rebounds was the difference in the game. So, but yeah, we're emphasizing it, talking a lot about it, and same thing with our transition defense. You know, the other part of transition defense is what you do on offense, because what ignites a lot of transition opportunities is poor play on offense, lack of execution, a turnover, a quick shot that's a bad shot. And we had a few of those things happen as well, which puts more pressure on our transition defense. And on the road, that's even more important because, as you know, dunks and transition flurries on a home court ignites the crowd, and it starts to work against you. So, but it's certainly, you know, a time in the season where, you know, you know more about your team than you ever knew before. We're 10 games in, but yet you have so much basketball ahead that to realize the things that we need to improve on and do it, and you know, to keep improving on the things that we've established we do well, and not lose that. You know, that's what I think a week like this week gives us, a great opportunity to just really practice and work and prepare without any games or travel.
Do you find with rebounding, because a lot of it seems like you know what you have, a lot of it seems like maybe it's sometimes just effort and focus. I mean, how do you deal with that in practice, or do you get as much out of it going over film with a guy and saying you need to do this, or is it, you know, just maybe some repetition actually on the floor with blocking?
Both.
In terms of Ira, Sean, and the less minutes he's getting, and maybe some anxiousness when he gets in there, is that one of the reasons that you identify he's been a little turnover prone when he's gotten in the game lately?
Yeah, I mean, Ira Lee's a good player, and we watch him every day. You know, players go through different parts of the year where their confidence can waver, and no doubt, you know, that's the period of time that he's in, but you can quickly bounce out of it and get out of it. And, you know, the good news is this is a week where we really have 5 or 6 days where we're not playing a game, and we can focus on ourselves. Someone like Ira can really focus on stringing together consecutive good practices, which will lead into the game. But we need him. This team needs him. He's definitely part of the solution. When you start talking about who's the best rebounder on our team per minute played, it's him. Him and Chase are our top 2 rebounders every day. And, being able to play them together some, being able to play Ira for longer stretches and rest to Chase. And so that does 2 things. That has an active rebounder in the game, and it also allows Chase to play the minutes that he's the most comfortable playing, where he can be at his best. So, but Ira's going to improve. I'm confident of that. Certainly slowing down, not setting illegal screens, not fouling. Those are all things that are under his control, and we're really trying to show him the areas that he can clean up, and we can help him clean up, coach him, teach him, and then have him carry that into the game. But he's a big part of our future, and we want to keep it that way.
You mentioned the illegal screens. I'm curious how guys are adjusting to that new emphasis this year.
It is, and Ira, the part that's hard is he might be our team's best screener. He takes great pride in doing it. He can really move. He's agile. He takes pride in it, and he's not a little guy. When he hits you, good things happen for our team. It's just, the discipline of like jump stopping instead of, having your feet continue to move, not ever using your arms. And sometimes he does both of those other things. But game experience cures that, and that's something that's plagued Ira and our team. But we're working hard with him to get out of that. And, when he can go stretches without a turnover and without some of these fouls, that's how you build confidence as well.
When you get new rules like that, how much time do you actually have to spend emphasizing those things and how to adjust to those types?
We talk about it. Usually that's done in the month of October when we introduce officials to our practices. They remind the players, and the players see it and adjust. But, as much as it's a new emphasis, I think some of the fouls that are being called have always been called. When you set a screen, you got to stop.
So Baylor, like you referenced, pretty good offensive rebounding team. Is that as big a deal concern for you Saturday, or what else do you expect from Baylor?
Well, Baylor hasn't had their total cast of players. They've welcomed back Mario Kegler, who's a terrific transfer from Mississippi State, and we're aware of him. He's just starting out, but he's only played in 2 games, and Mason as well, who is a very good player, has missed a couple, and they have not played a game since December 1st, so I'm sure they're healthy and really putting things together. But they're a lot like Alabama in that they have a number of starters and reserves who are very talented players, playing a great conference. They're used to playing in big games, and I'm sure this is one of the marquee non-conference games on their schedule, especially with the time they've had to prepare, being that it's an away-from-home game. But they're an elite shot-blocking team. They're an athletic team. Many different players, balanced scoring. As you can see, they have 5 players in double figures, or 4, almost capable of 5. And they certainly can beat you on second shots. They also have a way of blending both zone defense and man. And we haven't faced a lot of zone this year, so, we're obviously preparing for that. They have great length in their zone. They're one of those zones that, you can't see over them, and they've historically done a good job with their zone. So we're preparing. I'm sure they're preparing, but it should be an exciting big game, Saturday night game towards the holiday season. Again, you start getting teams from the Big 12 Conference on your home court. It's a pivotal game for both conferences and both teams, and hopefully we're going to be ready.
I think it's the only super late game this year. I was wondering, your guys will be done with finals by Saturday. How do you change your routine at all, if at all, when you have that much time and keeping the guys maybe, fresh without, not playing till 9 o'clock? How's that?
We've played 2 really morning games back-to-back Sundays. There's some teams that don't play a morning game all year. We've played 2 of them in a row, and we've traveled. So we've been in Maui, which just because of the time change in Maui, those times certainly can be different. You get used to it, playing in the evening, whether it's at 8 or 9, 7 to 9. I don't think it means a whole lot to our players. I feel bad for our fans because it makes it for a late night, but it's a home game. It is a Saturday night. It's not a weekday, and hopefully we're going to have Mikhail with our our best crowd of our early season.
In 2 of the 3 games you guys have lost, Sean, you haven't been able to get to the line as much. Are you seeing any consistencies there in not maybe being as aggressive offense, or just not getting calls in those particular games?
No, some of it has to do with the competition. You have to credit, Gonzaga and Auburn in particular. Their defenses are outstanding, and we weren't able to create those foul opportunities. Really felt the same way against Alabama, except a lot of it was self-inflicted. We became a jump shooting team. Not just threes, but some of our twos are just 15-foot, 17-foot pull-ups. Can't really say we didn't get the ball inside because Chase Jeter had maybe his best overall offensive night, and when he got it, he scored it. We could maybe have gotten it to him even a little bit more, but what we didn't have is strong drives, second shots, players attacking the basket after movement. And when you rely on jump shots, it can be a very inconsistent feeling. But you're right. We've traditionally done a good job of getting to the free throw line, and when you can't get there, that hurts, and that hurt us in the Alabama game.
You talk about Ira, what else are you looking for from the bench players? Maybe it seemed like maybe you could have got more help there at Alabama. And are there?
Well, we're better when our bench plays well. We're a team that really depends on everybody who enters the game contributing. We don't have an iron five. I've said it from the onset. There's not as big of a difference in ability between players 6 and 7, 8, than maybe 3, 4, and 5, and we can make that to our advantage. But whether you start the game or you sub in, we just need players in our team to do the things that we're good at and to contribute. Scoring doesn't necessarily have to be the reason that we win or lose because of our bench. Our bench doesn't have to produce 25 points. But what we need is guys to come in the game and help us. And it wasn't just our bench, it was everybody. We just didn't play as well as we were capable. And in a game like that, we needed to play our best, or a version of the best that we can be. And I thought we did that in a number of games already, but energy, everything that you really want. I can't really say we checked the box in any one thing in the Alabama game.
You've outscored opponents 8 of 10 times in the second half. The first halves have been a little slower, especially recently. Are you concerned at all about the splits on that, like maybe not coming out as strong?
Yep, from the 16-minute mark of the first half to like the 10-minute mark, 8-minute mark of the first half, we've just been destroyed the last 2 games. I mean, the point discrepancy is plus 20-some, maybe more. And, we're looking at combinations that we have in the game at that time. But you're right. I mean, we've dug ourselves a hole, I believe, of minus 21 points in both first halves. Against Utah Valley, we were down 12. Against Alabama, we rallied to be down 9. And if you look at the second halves, the opposite was true. But, sometimes that happens. It's just maybe a 2-game shot. But we're well aware of being outscored in the first half. And who's in the game when that happens is the only concern, and kind of looking at that combination of maybe not subbing as much, subbing, earlier, but that stretch has hurt us for sure.
Is there something to be said about that, comparing seeing a team on film and that you actually have to play against them for a few minutes, and that the halftime adjustments, that just puts extra emphasis on because you saw it right up front and that's why you can do more?
No, not really. We've been great at the beginning of the game. First 4 minutes, really, in all 10 games. I don't have it in front of me, but we're a good starting team. We've been a good starting team on the road. We've been a good starting team at home. Same thing, the beginning of second halves. In each of the last 2 games, it's a big reason why we got back into a hard-fought game, because the first 4 minutes of the second half at Alabama and against Utah Valley really favored us. So, that starting group, the first 4-minute segments of both halves have been good. But no doubt, in the first half of the last couple of games, and I would even say throughout the year, it's that 16 to 12-minute mark that we got our eye on.
Well,
How do you weigh that against Sean from the aspect, I think last week you talked about how you felt like maybe Luther gives you a little bit more offense off the bench versus starting, but maybe Emmanuel's your better defensive player. Maybe he fits better in that range you're talking about because some of your issues in that range have been defensively. I mean, is that something you look at?
Yeah, and it's been offensively too. It's really been both. We just have not played well in those segments recently, but we tend to sub like a wholesale sub at that time. 2, 3 guys. I don't know if we've subbed 4. Maybe we have, but sometimes not doing that at that point could be part of the solution, and we're working at that for sure. But that's what the non-conference season's about. You're trying to win every game for sure. I know that, but you just don't. No matter who you are, you just don't know your team nearly as well until you get to about this time, which you get 10 games under your belt, over 40 practices, the entire fall semester you've been together, and as you enter Christmas and get ready for conference play, I think at that point you're pretty sure of who you are, what you have, and maybe some things that we need to do better. So that's what this week helps us do. We've had an awkward last 2 weeks because of the long travel for those 2 road games, and I think all of us feel good about just being here for the entire week leading up to Baylor, and hopefully that'll help us.
Just one final thing about, you mentioned about Mason. There are going to be 3 grad transfers playing significantly on Saturday, and this has been a growing trend, and you've got a couple of them. I didn't know if you think it'll continue to be that way, or is it kind of leveled out where grad transfers are everywhere? Kind of what do you make of what's happening with that?
Yeah, it's kind of the state of the game. They're certainly impacting a lot of teams.
And is it any different? Have you found it's different with, you've had Lyons, Tollefson, some of those guys over the years. As far as, they're kind of one and done guys too. As far as working with them versus, a freshman who might only be here for a year. Are they easier to work in at least? Or?
No, I can only speak on the players that we've taken in that role, and those guys are all just fantastic. Great kids, hard workers, very unselfish, team-centered players, and all of them certainly have helped us, including the 2, Ryan and Justin, this year. I can't really say too many things more than just we love having them, and they've impacted our program in a real positive way, and they've also done well academically as well.